back to Prime News on HLN. You don't get this. Police in Utah say the husband of a missing woman is not helping them now with the investigation. Susan Powell disappeared more than a week ago from her home in West Valley City. Her husband, Josh, told police he'd left with his two little boys, ages 2 and 4, on a camping trip. They left after midnight, sub-freezing temperatures. Well, now cops say he did not show up for an interview yesterday on the advice of his attorney, but he did come out to talk to reporters last week. Let's listen to that.
We just miss her and we want her back, and I love her and my boys love her.
How are they doing?
They're doing okay.
Do you have any idea what happened to her?
No.
Okay, so if he wants her back like he says, why isn't he doing everything he can to help police? Why would he skip out on an interview? We'll take your calls, 1-877-TEL-HLN. We welcome back to talk about this. John Lusage, former criminal investigator. Also with us, Pat Reevy, reporter for the Deseret News. Joining us as well, Giovanna Owings, a friend of Susan Powell's. So we'll get to everybody. Hope to hear from you as well. Call in. Pat Reevy, let's start with you. What can you tell us about Josh Powell skipping out on an interview, Q&A session with authorities?
Well, he's had 2 interviews so far. One was the night after he returned home from that camping trip. Then they talked to him the next day, which would have been on Tuesday the 8th. After that, the police have said, well, we'd like to have some follow-up questions. There are still some questions we have for you. He had a scheduled interview for Monday. Monday came and went. At that time, detectives started hearing he had retained a fairly high-profile attorney here in Salt Lake. They called him. He informed them, yes, in fact, he had been retained. And on his advice, he told them not to go in yet. And no rescheduled interview has been made yet.
Okay. John Lusage, criminal investigator. Would you suspicious by that? Surprised that a husband would skip out on an interview?
Oh, when you got something to hide, absolutely not. You know, Mike, I'm the chairman of the Risk Committee for the Boy Scouts of America, the Patriot Path Council, overseeing the safety of 19,000 scouts. They would never, ever walk into the woods at the time of day that this guy says he walked into the woods with little children. I, personally, as a leader for over 7 years, would never take adult scouts into the woods at that time. His story absolutely has so many holes into it, I can actually see why he's jumped to get an attorney right away.
Gotcha. Okay. And we questioned that yesterday when we were talking about this story, how you could take a 2- and 4-year-old camping, middle of the night, sub-freezing temperatures, we were understanding of snow, sleet. I want to bring in Giovanna Owings, again, a friend of Susan Powell. Let me ask you, while we're on that topic, Giovanna, do they go camping a lot? Does it surprise you to hear that he would take a 2- and 4-year-old camping in the middle of the night?
Actually, it does. When I was there, he was going to take the boys sledding, and there were no plans to go camping. So this was a surprise to me.
Okay, surprise to you. Giovanna, and again, I'll ask you a few questions here. When you hear that he would not go to an interview session with authorities, does that surprise you? What are your feelings on that as you hear that?
Well, not really, because it seems like a lot of people have been after him, so I think he's kind of scared at this point, no matter what's going on, you know, so.
Giovanna, have you talked to him since your friend Susan went missing, and if so, how did he act? What did he say?
I talked to him just a little bit, just asking him if he's, you know, thinking about doing some normalization of his routine just to help the boys to get some routine back into their life, to help them.
Was he emotional?
Yes, he was.
You spent time with Susan as well, right? When was the last time you saw Susan?
I actually saw her Sunday evening.
Sunday, so just hours before she was last seen, that day?
I believe I was probably the last person to see her besides her husband.
How was she acting? Was anything make you suspicious as you look back on the time you spent with her?
No, there was nothing. In fact, it was as if it was just a normal day. She was just her usual vibrant self. We were having a great conversation. It was a typical Sunday afternoon. She was feeling just a little bit tired, which is, you know, normal on the weekend. So she was going to go take a nap, which is what she did, and then I prepared to leave the house.
Giovanna, what do you think happened to your friend as you look at this situation?
You know, I am completely stymied. I have no idea what has happened. I don't have a clue, and I wish I did, because I'd love to be able to just say, I think this happened.
Right.
Go follow this. Go do this.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break. We'll take your calls as we continue to look into this story. The number 1-877-TEL-HLN.